one day, stripped to their shirts, and void of horses, and looking very sorrowful. Now having some fear of attack from the Doones, and scarce knowing what their tricks might be, we received these strangers cautiously, desiring to know who they were before we let them see all our premises. However, it soon became plain to us that although they might not be honest fellows, at any rate they were not Doones; and so we took them in, and fed, and left them to tell their business. And this they were glad enough to do, as men who have been maltreated almost always are; and it was not for us to contradict them, lest our victuals should go amiss. These two very worthy fellows, nay, more than that by their own account, being downright martyrs, were come, for the public benefit, from the court of Chancery, sitting for everybody's good, and boldly redressing evil. This court has a power of scent unknown to the common law practitioners, and slowly yet surely tracks its game, even as the great lumbering dogs, now introduced from Spain, and called by some pointers, differ from the swift gaze hound, who sees his prey and runs him down in the manner of the common lawyers. If a man's ill fate should drive him to make a choice between these two, let him rather be chased by the hounds of law, than tracked by the dogs of equity. Now, as it fell in a very black day, for all except the lawyers, His Majesty's Court of Chancery, if that be what it called himself, gained scent of poor Lorna's life, and of all that might be made of it, whether through that brave young lord who ran into such peril, or through any of his friends, or whether through that deep old counsellor, whose game none might penetrate, or through any disclosure of the Italian woman, or even of Jeremy himself. None just now could tell us. Only this truth was too clear. Chancery had heard of Lorna, and then had seen how rich she was, and never delaying in one thing, had opened mouth, and swallowed her. The Doones, with a share of that dry humour which was in them hereditary, had welcomed the two apparitors, if be the proper name for them, and led them kindly down the valley, and told them then to serve their writ. Misliking the look of things, these poor men began to fumble among their clothes, upon which the Doones cried, "Off with them! Let us see if your message is he on your skins." And with no more manners than that, they stripped, and lashed them out of the valley, only bidding them come to us, if they wanted Lorna Doone; and to us they came accordingly. Neither were they sure at first but that we should treat them so, for they had no knowledge of the west country, and thought it quite a godless place, wherein no writ was holy. We, however, comforted and cheered them so considerably, that, in gratitude, they showed their writs, to which they had stuck like leeches. And these were twofold; one addressed to Mistress Doone, Lorna Doone, so called, and bidding her keep in readiness to travel whenever called upon, and commit herself to nobody, except the accredited messengers to the right honourable court; while the other was addressed to all subjects of His Majesty, having custody of Lorna Doone, or any power over her. And this last threatened, and exhorted, and held out hopes of recompense, if she were rendered truly. My mother and I held consultation over both these documents, with a mixture of some wrath and fear, and a fork of great sorrow to stir them. And now having Jeremy Stickle's leave, which he gave with a nod when I told him all, and at last made him understand it, I laid bare to my mother as well what I knew, as what I merely surmised, or guessed, concerning Lorna's parentage. All this she received with great tears and wonder and fervent thanks to God, and still more fervent praise of her son, who had nothing whatever to do with it. However, now the question was, how to act about these writs. And herein it was most unlucky that we could not have Master Stickles, with his knowledge of the world, and especially of the law courts, to advise us what to do, and to help in doing it. And firstly, of the first I said, we have rogues to deal with, but try we not to rogue them. To this, in some measure, dear mother agreed, though she could not see the justice of it, yet thought that it might be wiser, because of our want of practice. And then I said, now we are bound to tell Lorna, and to serve her citation upon her, which these good fellows have given us. Then go, and do it thyself, my son, mother replied with a mournful smile, misdoubting what the end might be. So I took the slip of brown parchment, and went to seek my darling. Lorna was in her favourite place, the little garden which she tended with such care and diligence. Seeing how the maiden loved it, and was happy there, I had laboured hard to fence it from the dangers of the wood. And here she had corrected me, with better taste, and sense of pleasure, and the joys of musing. For I meant to shut out the brook, and build my fence inside of it. But Lorna said no. If we must have a fence, which could not but be injury, at any rate leave the stream inside, and a pleasant bank beyond it. And soon I perceived that she was right, though not so much as afterwards. For the fairest of all things in a garden, and in summer time most useful, is a brook of crystal water, wherein a man may come and meditate, and the flowers may lean and see themselves, and the rays of the sun are purified. Now partly with her own white hands, and partly with Guinea's red ones, Lorna had made of this sunny spot a haven of beauty to dwell in. It was not only that colours lay in the harmony we would seek of them, neither was it the height of plants sloping to one another, nor even the delicate tone of foliage following suit and neighbouring. Even the breathing of the wind, soft and gentle in and out, moving things that need not move, and passing longer stalked ones. Even this was not enough among the flush of fragrance, to tell a man the reason of his quiet satisfaction. But so it shall be for ever, as the river we float upon, with wine, and flowers, and music, is nothing at the wellspring but a bubble without reason. Feeling many things, but thinking without much to guide me, over the grass plates laid between, I went up to Lorna. She, in a shower of damask roses, raised her eyes and looked at me, and even now, in those sweet eyes, so deep with loving kindness, and soft maiden dreamings, there seemed to be a slight unwilling, half-confessed withdrawal, overcome by love and duty, yet a painful thing to see. "Darling," I said, "are your spirits good? Are you strong enough to-day to bear a tale of cruel sorrow, but which perhaps, when your tears are shed, will leave you all the happier?" "What can you mean?" she answered, trembling, not having been very strong of late, and now surprised at my manner. "Are you come to give me up, John?" "Not very likely," I replied. "Neither do I hope such a thing would leave you all the happier. Oh, Lorna, if you can think that so quickly, as you seem to have done, Now you have every prospect, and